Hey Wargamers, today let's talk about a unit that I've always had a strange affinity for, and that is the Kroot. Specifically Kroot Carnivores, but I'm also going to talk about Kroot Hounds and Krootox in this video as well. Kroot have gone through some weird iterations in the past. Originally they were more or less a meat shield unit that could do some things in close combat but not a lot else, and then they moved into this kind of strange tactical unit that we saw in 7th and 6th edition, where they had sniper rounds but could also outflank and do some things in that way. But now they're back in this weird middle ground where you don't really know what to do with them. So let's take a look, see what their strengths and weaknesses are, and kind of pick apart the Kroot piece by piece here. So I have Index Xenos 2. Let's start with Kroot Carnivores. We'll move on to Kroot Riders and Kroot Hounds at the end there, just basically going through the way that they appear in the index. I will talk about Kroot Shapers in a different video because they're HQ choice, and I really just want to focus on the rank and file members of the army here. So Kroot Carnivores, movement 7, weapon skill 3 up, 4 up ballistic skill, strength and toughness 3 with 1 wound, 1 attack, a leadership of 6, and a 6 up save. So that leadership real low, the save real bad, and compared to everything else in the Tau army, they have a decent weapon skill, but not a lot else going for them. They come equipped with a Kroot rifle, which is just basically a bolter now. It doesn't have any type of sniper round or any type of variation like that anymore. They don't have any special rules with shooting, just a 24-inch rapid fire weapon, strength 4, that's it. Their one advantage that they have is this Stealthy Hunter special rule, which allows them to move up to 7 inches before the battle starts. So basically a scout move, which is notably worse than outflanking or infiltrate that they used to have. It's just not as good. It does allow them some flexibility, allowing them to advance and set up a screen against any type of chargers or anything like that, but still they're not very durable. They're not going to do a lot for you in shooting or anything like that. So overall, I really don't think Kroot Carnivores are something that you'll see on the battlefield a lot. They just don't have a lot going for them. I mentioned that you might want to use them as a screening unit, but Pathfinders have the same mobility. They're only a couple points more, and you get a better weapon that could also be a marker light for that same cost. Not to mention they're twice as durable. They have a 5 up save instead of a 6 up save. So really, Pathfinders, strangely enough, are going to be better at being a screening unit than Kroot are. The only thing Kroot have going for them is this close combat ability, but they're not going to last long in combat anyway, so don't bother. So yeah, that's really unfortunate. Kroot just are not very viable right now. Kroot Riders are kind of in the same boat. They're still fast. They're 7 inches movement. They have that weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 4 up, strength 6, toughness 5, so they're more durable. But they have 3 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 6, and a 6 up save. But when we compare them to something else that would be filling a similar role, and that is crisis suits with missile pods, they're still just not as good. They have a 48-inch rapid fire 1 weapon with strength 1 or strength 7, -1 AP, and doing D3 damage, which is basically the missile pod profile, except for, of course, missile pods are assault 2 at a shorter range. So just not as good as a crisis suit, unfortunately. So instead of using Kroot Riders or Krootox Riders, or Krootoxen, if you will, I would just use crisis suits. I don't see a big reason to bring Krootox. The one unit here that I do think has some application are Kroot Hounds. And again, they're going to fill a role that's somewhat similar to Breachers. They're going to be this outflanking, quick, mobile unit that you can have meet up with other units downfield and do some damage and some distraction, more importantly. So Kroot Hounds, movement 12, which is really nice. They're pretty fast. They have weapon skill 3 up. They don't have ballistic skill because they're dogs. Strength 3, Toughness 3, 1 wound, 2 attacks, Leadership of 5 with a 6-up save. So they're not going to last real long, but again, they're not going to be a real high priority for an opponent early in the game, and that's when they're going to be moving around and making things happen. So these guys are not meant to stick around late game. They're there for the early game, and I think they can last long enough to actually make that happen. They have a special rule called Voracious Predators, and allows them to re-roll charges against enemies that have suffered any unsaved wounds that turn. So all you gotta do is get one shot off on a enemy unit, and your Kroot Hounds are going to be able to re-roll their charge distance, which is really nice. It means that they're more likely to be able to make those long charges and get to where they need to be. So I envision these guys being part of a kind of a distraction force along with breachers or stealth suits or ghost keel that can kind of move up the side of the battlefield and pick off some isolated units, or be the basis, be kind of the landing ground or the anchor for a crisis suit deep strike or Farsight bomb or something like that. These guys can actually synergize fairly well with Farsight, since they can either be the unit that charges in first, or charges in after Farsight or after a Devilfish, and they can kind of pick apart a unit way better than anything else in the Tau army. So you send Farsight in with some Kroot Hounds, that's not bad. The Kroot Hounds have the mobility and the aggression to actually keep up with Farsight and do some damage, which is nice. That all said, would I be investing a bunch of points in Kroot Hounds? No way. They just don't have the durability, and every point I spend in a Kroot Hound is a point I can't spend somewhere else. So if I have a few extra points laying around and I don't mind taking another unit, it's okay to take Kroot Hounds. They may be able to come in handy, but don't expect them to be the linchpin of your army or the basis of your strategy, anything like that. They are situationally beneficial, but overall unreliable. So that's kind of my perspective on Kroot. Unfortunately, they're just not as good as they were before. They have some limited roles specifically for Kroot Hounds, but Kroot Carnivores and Krootox Riders just don't meet the standard that we need for them to really show up on the tabletop in a position where you're tight on points. So that's what I think. I wish it was different. I wish Kroot were more viable, because like I said at the beginning of the video, I really like Kroot, but they just don't make it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're using Kroot and it's working great for you, let me know what you're doing, how it's going, who you're facing against, because if there's a way to field Kroot, I will do it. But right now it just doesn't seem like it. So again, thanks for watching, and of course, happy wargaming.